do you have a clear reference point of a visceral felt experience or reference point of the difference between feeling called towards and invited to engage in action of some kind versus feeling pushed, maybe even coerced towards taking action? Very contrasting experiences are elicited, and in the spirit of encouragement and in the spirit of challenge and in the spirit of inviting someone to stretch into new territory or explore something unfamiliar, maybe even to actively, consciously and conscientiously work with, okay, this is a space that has the potential to result in a felt experience of discomfort, but there is an acknowledgement that the intention of exploration is held by this desire to challenge oneself and to strengthen or develop a quality of confidence in an area that can only really be mapped out once we actually move into that territory. And we're getting into this space then of performance and how we can harness tools to support us in a capacity and a resourcing around performance that is leveraging or drawing on activation. It's actually inviting that discomfort, that stimulation to play a part and to have a constructive outlet, but also one that is contained. And I say contained because to work in that way safely means that there needs to be boundary in place, and it means that there needs to be full comprehension of what risk is involved, and that allows the individual to actually come into a willingness to participate or engage with informed consent. And I'm making this distinction because something I've experienced as a participant and something that I have witnessed in a practitioner space, and something that I also see in the online space as a way of communicating this kind of jump off the diving board or break new ground or do the scary thing, is a naming and acknowledgement of there will be discomfort here, this is not going to feel good, push through anyway. And it sort of simplifies potentially the significance of the way that that is framed only reveals part of the picture. It does speak to this reality that there is discomfort and the potential to experience and feel discomfort, and that engaging with that may be part of the experience, but to frame it in a way that does not create a sense of dimension where there are other options and choices available is where I feel a sense of resistance to that from a safety point of view, because you're giving an indicator of something, and there's then space for integration and processing and responding to what should really be an invitation, have an invitational quality to it, which has the option of someone saying no, or I'm not sure, or I don't feel ready yet. And those three options are really, really important to have, because we're getting a taste of potentially what's to come, but we need to have an exit strategy. You know, as an individual entering into that space, we need to know where that exit is, and to feel that we have the ability to approach that, to find it, to navigate it, to identify it, and that is not something that is placed, that is not outsourced to someone else. Even if they're in a role that is a helping role or a facilitating role, we don't want to outsource our power to them. We don't want to outsource our choice or autonomy to them. So the presentation of, this is going to feel really difficult, but I want you to just go for it anyway, it misses the inclusion of, or the caveat of, what is coming up for you in response to that prompt, and a willingness to meet that and to honor it and to explore it, because the receptive and curious part of us that may be able to meet and recognize resistance, and then to even be able to share that actually with another person and have that witnessed, is already quite exposing and quite vulnerable. So this is also assuming that there is a kind of foundation already of trust there, and also that there has maybe been a quality of practice and rehearsal and connection with being able to speak to and advocate for that part of ourselves that actually sees and recognizes the challenge, but then can actually bring that to light for someone else to be aware of, if we even are at that point and have that available to us, that the person that is there in a supporting role or guiding role actually has the curiosity and willingness to meet that, and has enough resource themselves to be able to explore that with permission with that individual, if that is what they want to do. It's all very well to say, oh yeah, this is the difficult, challenging thing that I keep coming up against when, you know, I'm invited into a space of, you know, sharing or performing or expressing or articulating. That acknowledgement in that day, in that moment for that individual, might be enough. That might be enough of a lesson. That might be enough information to actually try to contend with, meet, hold, especially if it is new, if this is like something that is arising for us and we're still kind of processing potentially the magnitude of that and all the layers that it maybe exists underneath that, that actually it might not be conducive or helpful to take this kind of strategy of like, let's just break through that barrier and push through today. And, you know, the discomfort comes up, let's, you know, barge through it. That is not a one size fits all model, and it's a moment to moment interaction and engagement and exploration of, you know, what's coming up. Do we want to explore that? Do we want to sit with that? Do we want to press pause? And that the energy and focus that can get wrapped up in this sort of problem solving, fixing kind of approach, that again is about who are you actually working with, and is that the way that they operate? Is that a helpful strategy for them, or is that something that can actually compound what already feels difficult, maybe feels heavy, or maybe feels like that it's too close to naming and categorizing something as wrong or bad or incorrect or defective. And that when we are working with anything that is in this territory of expression or aspects of identity and self, great care must be taken in actually ensuring that we are meeting and being responsive to the needs of that individual when they give us explicit permission and cues that actually indicate I'm ready to take the next step, or I'm ready to explore this, or I'm willing to go there. And that a result of shedding or emotional release or a kind of activation of energy in a space, although that may look from the outset like something has been achieved, we don't have that right afforded to us as a facilitator to shift and displace and to move things along for somebody at a rate of change that is not actually in correlation, tandem, and acknowledgement and clarity of the rate of change that individual who is placing trust in us is willing to actually explore. We don't get to determine the rate of their processing. That is not for us to decide. And the most helpful, nourishing, supportive, beneficial, truly held, truly safe containers that I've had the benefit of being a recipient of, and having that space held for me by therapeutic practitioners, has always been in this spirit of collaboration and this spirit of I am here to support you, and I am here to meet, you know, what is ready to be explored today. The practitioner has the tools and resources available to explore, to connect with what it is that comes up. And there may very well be a process and a protocol and a pathway that is kind of working in a certain order, and it's systematic and it is following this kind of direction of travel. But that the relationship of support, it is feeding into this nourishing, restorative, trusting interaction where the individual receiving support is like, I'm on board with this. I know what's going on. You know, I'm willing to go there. Maybe there has been that informed consent piece around today we're exploring X, Y, Z, and these are the things that could come up. And I know that, and I'm still willing to go. But there's been that that clarity that is explicit, that they're aware of that. And for me, that has been, it's been of huge benefit to receive that and to appreciate that it takes time to build that level of trust and rapport with someone, you know, to actually feel into, this is me, this is you, this is the space that kind of exists between us, or this is the container, and then, you know, setting out on a kind of journey together, and that as you progress along that pathway, that things change and shift and morph, and but at no point is that spirit of collaboration and consent ever lost. That is something that is returned to again and again as there is this continual sort of, you know, coming together and moving away, and coming together and moving away, in this kind of process of integration that happens in between. There's always a return to almost this agreement of, where are you today, and how am I meeting you today, and how can we move forward, you know, in a way that is like actually giving permission, giving autonomy, and giving room and space for that individual to say yes, or to say no, or to say, I don't know, or let's just pause. So important. And the benefit of what I have taken from being in spaces that offer that on a personal level is huge, but also, you know, coming from that like practitioner perspective and thinking like, wow, if this is a quality that I can bring into the way that I hold space, that is something that I strive to achieve. And I think it's something that we really need to talk about more as practitioners, you know, with each other, and also with our clients as well, to bring them into that conversation, because they're front and center in this process.